What happens when you get two guys from the street who absolutely love to eat and give them a license to rant? You get your hosts, John Peasy and Mikey Sausage.
Peasy!
Sausage!
We made it another week.
Yes, and look how clean you changed your hat.
I'm a lot. When did I change my hat? I always
Did you have a different color hat last time you were on here?
I always change my hat, bro. You know that.
Yeah, you go from a black hat to a blue hat. It's like
I change my hat. You don't change your hair. You just.
I'm happy.
You make
At
it.
this age, I'm happy to have any hair. That's why I'm not wearing a hat.
I don't know. It looks a little gayer this week than usual.
Okay, I know the blue hat on you. It's like a Smurf from the '90s.
Yeah. Okay. It's a good joke. Okay. All right. What's going on?
Nothing. I just had a really busy weekend with lots of gigs hopping all over in New York, Long Island, New Jersey, Pennsylvania.
You had a lot of gigs this weekend?
Yeah. I did like 5. Yeah.
Funny, I didn't get my envelope.
Yeah, envelope. I'm gonna send you an envelope in the mail. But guess what's gonna be in there? Something the post office doesn't want to deliver.
Did you do any Trump or Hillary puppet humor this weekend?
Yeah, I did a couple. I've been doing the Trump, but Hillary's still in my garage in a case.
Oh, you're still scared to do Hillary?
I'm not scared.
You're scared.
I'm not frightened. I'm actually waiting.
Yeah. I think what you should do, I got a very good idea. Take the Hillary puppet and go to Chappaqua. You know in that woods where she's always walking?
Yeah.
We should walk through the woods with that. We should film that. I think that would be very funny.
That would be actually hilarious. You know? And I also have the little Bill Clinton puppet, so you could have him trailing behind and go, "Hey, baby."
That's a good. See, I'm trying to get an envelope any way I can. You know.
You'll be the creative writer. Nobody knows from underneath that hat what comes out. Who knows what comes out?
They just do not know the comedic genius that lies within.
That's right.
Deep within.
That's right. Deep within.
Yes.
Hey, we guess who we have coming up tonight? Well, it's already advertised, but I'm excited.
Are you?
Yes, because I've known this.
That right away gets me nervous. Frosted hair, good looking guy coming on, and you're
right.
See?
It's right, yeah. Mr. Jenner.
Listen, it's all right. It's all right to be in touch with your feminine side. No, but the guy that we coming on tonight, I love him a long time. I mean, going back long. Always funny guy to me. And, he's Italian, so how do I go wrong? I mean, I love the
He's Italian?
Oh, yeah, I love the Italians. Love the Italians.
So where has he been? What's he done? And what's he up to? So people may not know this, but this guy was born in the Bronx. He's a college graduate, and he's a stand-up comic. He's an actor and a radio host, and he's really a variety of so many different things. He's not just one thing. He's like a triple. He's like when you order Fios and you get the triple play.
So he's a triple threat.
Yeah, a triple threat in a sense because he's done it all.
You've been in Jersey too long because you said the Bronx.
The Bronx.
That's not really right.
Okay, DA.
That's
the Bronx.
So why don't you introduce him, bring him in, and he'll teach you the correct way.
I would love to hear.
Okay.
By the way, I'm interested to hear what he has to say too, because I haven't really got to really have a good conversation with him in a long time. I've known him for 100 years, and this is going to be interesting. So, folks, the one and only Goumba Johnny.
Yeah, all right. There he is.
There you go.
Okay.
There's the three of us.
Yeah, sorry for the delay, Johnny Goumba.
That's not a problem.
Listen, I know I'm fat, but why you got me so big next to these guys?
Yeah, you do look. You look like Mr. Stay Puft.
Yeah.
White is not the color to wear.
Before the show, John's going, "How tall are you? How big are you?" I said, "What's this guy? You want me to make a fucking collection?" He kept asking me these questions.
No, he has some old shirts he wanted to sell.
I don't know if you realize how much of the screen you take up.
All right, John. Relax now.
It's going to be another night of making fun of sausage, right?
Not my fault. I have a problem. We've already determined this.
No,
yeah, we have a problem.
With me and Johnny, you just see the head. With you, it just goes on forever. It's like looking at the Smoky Mountains.
Listen, I'm trying to make money. I figured someone would take the billboard out, maybe put an advertisement here or something.
I hope you charge by the pound.
Yeah, go ahead, Johnny Boy. I got 2 Johnny Boys now, so I got to go and pee.
Yeah, just call him Goumba. Make it clean.
Okay.
So here we are. We have a Goumba Johnny. So Johnny, I know I'm humba. I know Johnny for like 30 years. I think it's
at least.
I think I met you back in the late 80s.
Yes.
And he was hanging out at the time doing comedy. And I remember the first time I met you, I believe it was with John Mulrooney.
Yeah, John's actually, yeah, John's, I mean, still a very close friend of mine. I actually spoke to him just recently.
And one of the greatest comics ever, and one of the greatest crowd working comedians ever. I mean, nobody's quicker than that guy when it comes to a crowd. I remember watching him when I first started, thinking, "Oh my God, I wish I could be that lightning fast." He's really
he's really one of a kind. He's a super talent. You're so right, and you know, I'm really shocked because with that kind of talent, I mean, he should have been a superstar.
Agreed. But speaking of talent, now you've done everything. You've done everything. Tell us about the beginnings of the young Goumba when he first began. Where did you start? How did you become funny? And was your family funny? How did you begin?
My father was funny, but he never tried to be funny. He was a New York City detective. He worked in Fort Apache, went in the 70s in the Bronx.
Wow.
And all my uncles were cops and firemen. So, you know, nobody worked creatively in my family. So it was very difficult to explain to people that I was going to keep the lights on by telling jokes. That didn't go over so well. But I more or less, you know, I fell into comedy. I fell into the radio. And I really didn't ever want to be a comedian or be on the radio. These were careers that just happened to come my way. And I was very, very fortunate and very, very blessed to be able to, you know, to work like that. It was a real, to me, it was a real gift from God. I mean, as far as the comedy was concerned, I was managing a comedy club in Yonkers. I was not performing. I didn't have any desires to perform. And I was there on a Sunday night, and the comedians were going to be late. They were stuck in traffic. They were coming up from the city. And, you know, the owner said, "You got to get up there on stage. You got to do something." And I'm like, "Why do I got to get up there?" I said, "Because we're telling you to." So I got up there and I grabbed the microphone. Obviously, I seen enough shows to, you know how to begin a show, you know, and so the comedians would catch up and get there. And I more or less got the bug by accident. And I started hosting shows. And I more or less caught the bug like that. And as far as radio was concerned, I had no vision, no idea, no desire to be on the radio. But I was in a nightclub hosting a dance contest in the 80s. And after the dance contest, some guy came out of the crowd and he says, "Hey, did you ever think about going on the radio?" And I said, "Well, why would I want to do that?" And he goes, "Well, you're really kind of funny. You got that humor for the radio and you got a great voice." And I'm like, "What do you want? You want me to buy you a drink? I don't understand. Where's this conversation going?" So he goes, I work at Z100. He goes, "Here's my card. I'd like you to come down. I'll show you around the station." So I would go down to Z100 like 3 nights a week for nothing. And, you know, it more or less, you know, mirror this guy during his job. And I would do voices on the radio, write comedy bits. And I got a good feel for it. And I eventually ended up getting my own job.
Now, when you went on stage because you had to,
Right.
But the first time that you did it, were you funny or was it bad?
I got up there, I grabbed the microphone. Obviously, I was the manager, so I knew what it looked like. I just didn't know what it felt like. I told a joke, and nobody laughed.
Okay.
And you know, every comedian will tell you it's trial by fire, baptism by fire, and everybody was looking at me, and it was dead silence. And the one thing that all comedians will tell you, you start sweating from places that you didn't know you had sweat glands. I had sweat running down my ears, behind my knees. I didn't know you could sweat there. And it comes out like a faucet when you're bombing, right, John?
And it never goes away, right?
But you kept going.
Well, what happened was some guy walked into the audience late. And he sits right in the front. He's with his girl, and he has a motorcycle jacket on, and he takes it off, and he's got tattoos on. So I said, sir, he was just right in front of me. I mean, like disrupted my show. He was like a gift from God. And he looked like some kind of like dirty rocker.
Right.
And he goes, I said, oh, yeah. I said, sit down. Yeah, you didn't miss anything. You could ask everybody here. Yeah, sit down. I said, he goes, yeah, I'm sorry I'm late. I said, oh. I said, well, did you come from work? He goes, no, I'm a garbage man. I said, oh, well, that's nice. He goes, I'm in a band. I said, yeah, I heard of you guys, Guns and Garbage. And, and I got a laugh. And after that,
it felt a little better.
Well, yeah, you know what I mean? You just, I wasn't a comedian at that point.
No, I understand, but that's what Peasy said. Peasy said to me, you can never get rid of that feeling going on that stage. And when you're killing and people are laughing, he said, there's no feeling like that in the world. Like when everybody's just laughing.
You're married to it on some level. And on some level, you're almost like, it's like a marriage.
We all got ego, right? So, I mean, that's that's got to be a tremendous feeling.
But John, let me ask you, this is interesting too, because I know you, I've seen, first of all, I didn't want to get into all the movies that you've done. He's done many, Mikey, he's done a lot of movies, really great movies too. And funny. I watched a few of the clips, very funny. But even as a comedian, I don't know if this happens to you or not, but after doing it for years and years, like you've been doing it, you start to get a beat on it. You start to feel more comfortable on stage. And even when you do new material, you could pad it in between stuff that, that works to get the uncomfortability out of it on some level. However, when you go out and do something all new, I know, like if I take out a new dummy and I just start trying to work on it, I'll notice that it's like I'm just like a 15-year-old kid at an open mic night again, like from the very beginning. It's like I'm starting all over. I'm getting the same nervousness and sweatingness, and because you care about it. When you don't care, it's easy to just go up and throw things out. It doesn't really matter. Do you feel the same way in doing humor?
Yeah, I mean, we all have, it's funny because, John, I mean, like you said, we've been doing it a long time. And there are times where we both can write a joke and without even telling it, it's going to get laughed. Mm-hmm. And there's other times that, you'll write something and you'll say, I don't know how the audience is going to tell. I don't know if this is going to go, because I kind of think it's funny, but I'm not sure.
Right.
And you get up there and you do it. And you more or less, you go from flying with a net to flying without a net.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you never get comfortable doing that. And one thing I find interesting about comedians is we all have that one bit that we wrote and that we fell in love with, and we do it and we don't let go of it, and it just never goes. You know what I'm talking about?
I know exactly what you're talking about. And I also know that sometimes it's something that you fall in love with and you do it because it's yours. And and sometimes I throw, it's almost like uncomedy. You want to go out and throw it. It's almost like a train. I told this to Sausage one day. I said, sometimes you're on stage and it feels like you're on a train and you're going fast and everything's in a roll. Everyone's having a great time. And then you just say, I'm going to slow this train down to a different level and then start it back up again. And it's also a beautiful a feeling of power and control.
Yes.
At the same time, it also is, it's a manipulation on some level, but it also gives you the feeling that you really are in control of your environment and an audience. And it's almost, it's good and it's bad on some level, I guess, just like that.
It's interesting that you use the analogy of a train, because you are taking the audience on a ride, and
well, it's a cheap fare.
There is, usually there is a destination, the whole thing is about making them have an excellent time.
Well, this is another interesting too, when I think about you now, you're a stand-up. I'm a novelty act, so it's a little bit different, but as a stand-up comic, you don't have shiny props or, puppets or, things, magic tricks or whatever. So it's really mostly facial and verbal. Do you consider yourself a physical act or more verbal, or both?
I would say I'm a little bit of both. You have to understand, I did radio for a very long time. And when the beauty of radio is that you could be speaking to 1 million people at a time, a couple of million people, hundreds of thousands. And the interesting thing is that you're in a room with 6 people. So I would do a radio show in the morning, and then I would go to the gym in the afternoon, and somebody would come up to me and say, hey, you said this about that. That was really funny. I almost drove my car off the road. And I was like, really? That was funny? That I didn't, because there's no reaction. But when you do live comedy and you're standing on stage, you get that instant gratification that people are in front of you. It's definitely more exciting, and for me, I definitely feel more alive on stage, as opposed to doing the radio. But
everyone does. But what about see, that's very true. I can see that. But what about the voice recognition versus the face recognition? Because very often, like I remember that, there's people that you meet that you hear on the radio all the time, and you meet them and you go, that's the guy?
Yeah. Well, I got funny stories about that. I was obviously on radio long before the internet. Now everybody could just Google you. They know what you look like. They could see a clip of you. But when I first came on, the whole Goumba Johnny thing, people would come up to me, they go, hey, Goumba Johnny, how come you're not fat? And I'm like, well, I go to the gym. I thought you'd be fat. Well, I'm not fat. Where's your mustache? How come you don't have a mustache? I said, well, I don't. I said, I only shave once a week. I'm not very hairy. So I got so tired of explaining myself.
What, that you got fat and grew a mustache?
Yeah, well, one day this woman came up to me and she goes, I pictured you with a big gut. And I said, what a coincidence. I pictured you with much larger breasts.
And then your mother slapped you.
Yeah, right. But I mean, I got to the point where, people, radio is theater of the mind. And most people are generally very, very nice. So whether they came up to me and said, "Oh my God, you're better looking than I thought you would be," or "You don't look like I thought you would be," I just said thank you to everything. And no matter what people say, whether it's good or bad, and I would say thank you very much and thank you for listening. I appreciate it.
You make my days. Now, how did you start? How did you get the radio gig? How did that start?
We auditioned for it in 96.
You just thought it was an open audition, or someone?
No. They called in people from around the country. I happened to be in New York, and when we first signed on, it was a brand new station, KTU, and we got the night slot. And
it made his name so.
Were you there when Paco was there?
No. That was the original KTU.
Okay.
But I was fortunate enough to meet Paco.
Yeah, I remember.
I was at a nightclub in New Jersey, and he came to see me one night out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And I was a huge fan. I mean, I grew up with Paco. And he came over and he goes, Goumba Johnny, I want to tell you, because I listened to you on the radio. He goes, you're very good. Very good. Because I wanted to see you in person. I said, I can't believe you. I'm so honored.
Yeah, this is Paco, baby. I used to love Paco.
Yeah, because I grew up with you, and he was a very nice guy. One thing about radio guys, radio guys and comedians, as a rule, very nice people. I have to say I've done a lot of things, like John said, but the thing that I'm proudest of is to be considered a comedian and to be part of the brotherhood of comedians. They're the nicest people I've ever worked with as a group. It's the only profession I've ever been in where you can come off stage and somebody will actually pay you a compliment and mean it, like that was a great set, or I wish I wrote that joke, or you really got better, and so on and so forth. As a rule, they're just a fabulous, fabulous group of people. And John will tell you, when you get like 4 or 5, 6 comedians, hanging out, just kicking punchlines around, there's just nothing like it. There's just nothing like it, talking shop and telling stories about other comedians and whatnot. It's fantastic.
How do you audition now? What do they make you do? I mean, you send a tape in? Do you go?
No, you go on air. We had my audition for KTU was for a week.
For a week?
Yeah.
Every day he was like, "Is that your zipper? I'll get it." And Paco's, thank you very much.
So they gave you a week.
On air. Me and another guy did mornings for a week.
And who was the other guy at the time?
The other guy was eventually my partner, Hollywood Hamilton.
Okay, so he became your partner eventually now.
Well, he was always my partner, but
from the very beginning.
Yeah. He's the one who really gave me my break in radio. He was the guy in the nightclub who took me to Z100. So we stayed together, and then he went out to Kiss FM in Los Angeles, and I kind of worked with him, you know, through the 90s and the 80s.
Now,
so we auditioned for
I got to get this right now. If this is right or wrong. Was your guys' bit Gangsta Theater?
Gangsta Peace Theater.
Oh my God, Peasy.
You remember that?
Oh my God, Peasy.
It was funny.
Man, that is one of the funniest. You know what it is, Peasy?
I heard it back in the day, yes.
They
I used to listen to Johnny all the time late at night. I'm driving home.
I'm telling you, it was the funniest shit.
Yeah, what we did was we had a guy with an English accent who would come in, and we called it Gangsta Peace Theater. And it was almost like, you know, Masterpiece Theater, like you would see on PBS. And he had the heavy English accent. And he goes, you know, tonight we'd have the music, and he'd come on the thing, and he would say, tonight I have selected the poet laureate, Snoop Doggy Dogg. I will doing this piece. The piece I will be reciting is called Gin and Juice. And then he would do the English accent, just do the words of the thing, and
like poetry, like
poetry. Then he would explain it, you know, like he would use the word "ho," and he goes, "Ho is an extremely good term.
Could be a term of endearment."
Yeah, it's not a term of endearment. It's a term used for women who give themselves away for them. You know what I mean? And it was just so funny.
Getting jiggy with it. It was so much funny shit.
Yeah, it was you know, it was a kind of spoof, you know, a little a spoof on hip hop. You know, we weren't a hip hop station, so you know, people enjoyed it. I mean, you know.
You know, but see, Mikey, do you notice? I don't know if you notice. As I'm listening to John, this man is so humble. He's relaxed and he's humble.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny, Chuck, because when I first met John, I remember John back in the 80s, but we were really younger at the time.
Yeah.
But we were all different people at the time. And now I see John, he's so humble and so appreciative and loves being part of the comic brotherhood and everything. It's like you come full circle from being this young guy aggressively
saying he was a stuck-up son of a bitch.
No, I'm not saying
right.
No, I was a jock. I was an ex-jock. I was I was like I'm 200 now. I was like 250, 255. You know, I mean,
You like sports?
I was a street kid.
Yeah, he was a regular guy.
I was a street kid from the Bronx, and
that's how. Just imagine that now. Do you have children, John?
No, I've never had any children. No, I'm married.
So
none he knows of.
So now, like I say today, like I have young kids. Peasy has a little older daughter. Like my kids never stayed in the street like I stayed in the street.
No.
You know, like I'm like.
Well, the phone.
Yeah, I mean, never got in trouble like I got in trouble, like you got in trouble.
Yeah.
I never wanted that for them. You know what I'm saying? So it's crazy that my kids never knew what it was to go out and get called home by your mother to eat dinner. You know, like, it's like the weirdest thing.
It's a different world.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a totally different world.
Yeah, I put the other day I had the kids in the car and I put a freestyle on my iPod, and they're like, what the hell is this? They're looking at me like I was nuts, you know?
Yeah,
I said, this is the music.
You know, it's funny you said that, Mike. A couple of weeks ago at the Mount Airy Casino, I was fortunate enough to host a freestyle concert. And I have to tell you, you know, I remember when I was...
Who was there?
Oh,
I could probably tell you. And
Naomi,
I wasn't.
Nation, Sergio, Noel. I mean, it just went on and on.
Good stuff.
And
yeah.
I remember in the 90s, I did an interview and they said, do you think freestyle's dead? And I said, no, freestyle will never die. And they're going, what do you mean freestyle will never die? And it's 35 years later and they're still playing these songs on the radio and they're still popular, John. It's amazing.
It's great.
What's creepy is you start sounding like your parents though in some, because I remember as a kid my parents telling me, oh, this is music, you don't know what you're talking about, and then now I feel the same way when you tell your own kids, and it's kind of the full circle of life.
Yeah, but I loved that music also.
I did, but not like that. Growing up, it was a magical time.
I love that Rat Pack music. I love those standards. I love that Sammy Davis and Sinatra and Dean Martin and all them guys and all that music in the 50s, the doo-wop. I like that music also, and I love that freestyle music because that was my youth. So I guess that's what I related to the most.
Well, it's the memories attached to the music that gives it the meaning, that makes it so endearing for you.
Yeah, I was telling my daughter, we used to wear capizios. She goes, "What's a capizio?"
No, yeah.
I haven't heard that in a long time, right, John?
Well, it's funny. John, you'll appreciate this. I did a 50th birthday party for an Italian guy this last Saturday.
Hey, stop bragging.
In New Jersey, and I said, congratulations, you're 50. I said, you're going to go through an Italian midlife crisis now. I said, you're going to have to get an IROC and some Sergio Tacchini sweatsuits. He's going to drive up and down the street. His wife goes, he's still doing it.
The funny part is nobody else would understand it but those people.
No,
yeah,
right.
That's another thing, Peasy.
Yeah.
My daughter saw all these. My mother broke out all these pictures, and then and every picture was a Sergio Tacchini in a different color.
Yeah.
My daughters go, "How many of those things did you have?" I said, "I had every one. I had sneakers to match." And then the little cousin looks. He goes, "Holy shit! Those are Jordan 5s. You know how much they're worth?"
Yeah. Well, in my neighborhood, they used to call the Sergio Tacchinis the Italian American uniform. Guys would say, "Hey, you got your uniform on." Yeah, I got my uniform on.
Hey, John, did you ever go through this? There was a stage where I went through. I must have invested $10,000 in all my friends were investing money in the stock market that are retired right now. I was investing money and buying pink and lime green Tan sweatshirts.
MC Hammer pants.
Remember Tans? They were like huge for like 4 or 5 years.
Yes.
They were at the time. They were like $100. It was a lot of money for a sweater.
Well, I was heavy back then, so I wasn't able to wear a lot of the
neons.
The clothes that were in style. I remember they used to wear the jackets that looked like waiter jackets with the Cavaricis.
Right.
And I couldn't fit in that.
So how did you lose all this weight? What did you do?
Well, I mean, I power lifted for a long time. So I lifted heavy weights, so that kept the weight on.
No injuries?
I'm sorry?
No injuries?
I had no weightlifting injuries. I had a football injury, but no weightlifting injuries.
Yeah, a lot of people that work out heavy, they always say, I had my shoulder, my cuff, there's always something.
No. After college, I got into some competitive powerlifting. I entered about 14 different contests. My weight in high school, when I graduated high school, was 180. And, through weightlifting, at one point I weighed like 278.
Wow.
Which I call the never get laid look.
But before we went on, I asked him, that's how much research we do here. I asked him how old he was, and he was 60. I can't believe that because
I'm telling you, in person, he looks 35.
He looks and see the stereotypes, right? We all have stereo, right? We had that profiler on. We're always profiling people, right? So he says in college, I never imagined Goumba Johnny in college. It just didn't fit what I would think.
It's that Goumba name.
I have a degree in science.
What happened?
I have a degree in science. How funny is that?
I'm just, because not that I don't know Johnny, but me and Johnny probably have a lot of friends in common. So I know Johnny from around, but we never really met each other. But I would never imagine. I went to college too, and you went to college, yeah. And he went to college. You would never think it in a million years.
Oh, so you went to college?
I went to Pace.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, it's just like people stereotype you, and I did.
Well, I mean, the Goumba Johnny thing doesn't help,
No.
I understand. I understand.
And I never really spoke about, I never spoke on air about my education. I have an associate's degree in marketing and a bachelor in science.
Was that on purpose?
What? No, it's something that never came up. I mean, but when you're on the radio, you're on 4 hours a day, 5 days a week, 20 hours. People will get a sense whether you're smart or not. I mean, you can't. One thing about being on the radio, you can't. Over a period of time, you fool no one. They know if you're nice. They know if you're not nice. They know if you're full of crap. Right. They catch on to you. You know, you're not a celebrity when you're on a radio. You're their friend. They know my mother's name. They know what color my car is. They know what my favorite food is. You know, I'm not, people never really treated me like I was a celebrity when I was on the radio. It's just, they treated me like, hey, you know, even now when I see people, their first thing is, I grew up with you.
Yes.
Wow.
You know, that's really, that makes me feel good.
It's true. And speaking of radio, what do you think about radio these days versus satellite radio? What do you think about that?
Well, you know, radio's, you know, it's not the same business that I got in. You know, when I got in, it was an extremely talent-friendly business. And when I left, and I left on my own accord, you know, I felt like I was being treated like I was in the way. And it's kind of odd, you know, because you're the jock and they literally give you the wheel to the bus and they treat you like, you know, like basically like, not that you don't matter, like in other words, like you're a necessary evil. And it's kind of weird because I've had meetings with people at Sirius Satellite Radio and they said, oh, Johnny, you know, we're thinking about, you know, maybe doing something with you because you're so local, you have that local sound and you're such a New York guy. And then when I was on regular radio, they would, towards the end, they would tell me, you know, don't talk less. We want to play more music. People don't care what you did this weekend. And I was like, look at this. Regular radio wants to sound like satellite and satellite radio wants to sound like regular radio. You know what I mean? And they both should be what they are. You know, the strength of everyday radio is the fact that you have local personalities talking about local things, weather, what you're wearing, you know, where you're going, what's going on in the subway, what happened this weekend, what's going to happen, you know, so on and so forth. And that's really the strength of radio, along with playing your favorite song, having a laugh, and getting off to work, you know, the right way. And satellite, you know, satellite, I mean, is amazing. I mean, they have that powerful playlist and you're not interrupted by large commercial blocks that last 7 minutes, you know what I mean? And you're not constantly being sold stuff. And you could really specialize. You can go to 50s, 60s, 70s music, or you can listen to the Bruce Springsteen. Now they have the Beatles channel. So, I mean, the strength of local radio, to me, is the jock. But I don't think they see it that way. At least they didn't see it that way when I was there.
It's so strange to me because when me and Pease were doing this show, we did it last year. We did we said, we're going to put a year of shows in just to...
Trials.
Yeah, like trials, see how we do, see how we like it, blah, blah, blah. And then John had sat down with a guy from a local radio station. And
pretty big radio station, actually.
Yeah, pretty big. And we were talking about what we wanted to do and blah, blah, blah. And I said, you know, and then we got a chance maybe to talk to Sirius. And then we were going to do that. And then because, you know, John had some friends on Sirius. And the funny thing to me was, what did the guy say to you, John, when you sat down?
First of all, it was interesting that we got the opportunities to do meetings with the people that run these places. That was interesting, I think, because I had a relationship. But The bigger issue was, and I know where you're going, Mike, the bigger issue, I think what he's leading into is that after we did the meetings, it didn't happen because the radio stations were bought out by another one in Florida.
No, I wasn't talking about that. It was just what he said to you about radio, about how we thought that...
He told me he did not want because I was showing him all the benefits.
Satellite radio, he thought that satellite was insignificant.
Right, it was 1% of his market value. He was saying that he really wants those regular everyday listeners locally. He didn't care about video. He was like he wants listeners, just plain old listeners.
Yeah, because my pitch is to have, you know, look, Howard Stern's very successful. That's probably who I would listen to here and there, but this thing works. Now, is that one in a zillion? Yeah, probably. But more than anything, if I'm in the car with someone that wants to listen to Z100 or something, I enjoy when they interact with each other and then play one song and then I enjoy that. I like when they're talking to each other about their weekend, making fun of each other.
But that's what John is saying. John is saying that you become a family. You know the person as a personality and a friend rather than a celebrity. That's interesting because that's really what you're saying.
He also said like one of them wants it and one of them doesn't, right, John? Is that
yes?
You know, I mean, there's value in both when done correctly. you know, and you know, I think they for regular radio right now, it's of my opinion that they have the jocks on a very, very short leash. I really would love to hear the jocks talk more and yuck it up a little bit. But that being said,
if they're good at it,
you got to have the talent to do that.
A lot of guys are not funny.
Yeah, interesting.
So some of the guys, so, you know, I mean, you know, it was a weird transition for me because, you know, I was a comedian, and you know, it's a totally different form of comedy. You know, I had to do comedy on the radio where I had beginning and middle and endings in 30 seconds, 60 second, 90-second bits. And, you know, so many comedians, you know, would ask me, "Oh, how'd you get the job on the radio? I'd like to do it." And I'm like, it's not as easy as it looks. It's not like doing a 30-minute set. It's a totally different brand of humor. And you really have to, you know, you really have to be light on your feet to make it work on the radio. You can't see comedians could stay on stage and they could literally fish for a laugh,
yes, and
make fun of themselves when they don't get one. But radio people don't have that luxury. You know what I mean? You know, you only have some of the breaks are, you know, 3 minutes. Some of the breaks are a minute. Some of the breaks are in between songs. They're 15 seconds.
And you lose all the physicality about it. So that funny face, that funny action, that you if you're any type of physical comedy, you're done.
It's one source.
You have to learn how to talk graphically, and that was one of my strengths, that I could talk in a way where people would actually see it in their head. And you have to be fast. You know what I mean? You have to be fast, light on your feet, and you know, just be able to get in and out. And it's like anything else. It's like John does the ventriloquist, and it's an art form.
That's hard shit. You wouldn't believe how hard that is. That's crazy hard.
Yeah, and you just what do you call? You go, you know, you're always sharpening. You're always sharpening. You're always sharpening, and you're always trying to improve. And
you love it too, right? You have the love for it as well.
Yeah, I love the radio, and what I loved about the radio was the listeners. The business end was a little rough for me.
Would you
everything?
Would you do it again? Would you do it again, John?
Oh yeah, I loved it. I mean, it was great.
About bringing video into your studio so people could look at you while you were doing it also.
Well, I'm sure they do that now. You know what I mean? I mean, all the jocks are on social media. They're posting videos, and
I mean, during your show, like you know.
I mean, live comedy show.
Yeah, like no. As he's doing the show, you can watch John and his partner or whatever he's doing.
Well, they do that. I mean, they did that with Imus, and they did it with, you know, Mike Francesa and the Mad Dog. They would simulcast and so forth. You know, I mean, there are shows that do that now. You know, but that, you know, like if you watch one guy sitting in the studio, I mean, there's only so much you can do during 4 hours. You know, eventually you're just gonna watch him drinking a cup of coffee in between commercials. There's nothing entertaining about that.
Reality TV has proved that people like that shit. You know, they like they like the look. People
I mean,
like
reality TV that's a whole nother subject.
It is another whole subject. That's hey John, what about and all right, just independent of the radio stuff, what about all of your movie stuff? Matter of fact, I was, you know, just looking before I came on here, I looked at your Facebook page and I just zipped down and I was looking at a video of one of your demos of you as an actor in all these movies, and I also noticed that great movie with Jerry Seinfeld in it. Well, by the way, boy, I met was a really nice guy. How was that? I mean, it's just really cool to be hanging out with Jerry Seinfeld doing anything.
Oh, it was funny. That was a web series called Cop Show that was written and produced by Colin Quinn and produced by Jerry Seinfeld. So Colin gave me a regular part where I played the producer, Bobby Russo, of the fictitious TV show. It's a spoof. It's a TV show about a TV.
It's very, very clever.
Yeah, and in the third season, Colin goes, all right. He goes, you're in this episode. I said, great. He goes, it's you and Jerry. So I said, excuse me? He goes, it's you and Jerry. I said, Jerry who? He goes, you're not that stupid, are you? So I said, I'm going to be working with Jerry Seinfeld. I'm like, holy, you know, and I've worked with Jerry before. on stage, but never, I mean, he's still Jerry Seinfeld. I mean, you can't not be with him and look at him and say to yourself, holy shit, it's Jerry Seinfeld.
Yeah, it's like working with the Beatles. It would never be the same if Paul McCartney walked in, no matter, even if you say, well, he's just a regular guy, picture him taking a shit. No, he's still Paul McCartney.
Yeah. So I went to do the show, and I was sitting in like the waiting room, like the green room, and I was looking down, and he came in. He goes, "Hey, Johnny," and I'm like, "Oh my God, Jerry said hello to me." I'm like, I'm working with him today. You ready to go? And we start. He'll talk forever about the Mets. He loves the Mets
and comedy too, though. He has a huge love for comedy, right? I hear all the stories.
Yeah, he's. You know what? I have to say, I personally, and when you look at comedy from a pure sense, and I know how hard Jerry Seinfeld works. People don't realize that this guy is one of the most, probably the hardest worker in comedy as far as writing and this and that. He's constantly doing, and I think he's to me, from the purest sense of comedian stand-up. To me, I think he's the best ever.
And works very clean.
Yeah, I just think he's the best ever. I think he's amazing, the way he writes a joke and so on and so forth. And, I have Seinfeld stories, but what is interesting, what I could tell you is it's kind of cool to see Jerry Seinfeld curse.
It's got to be, because the guy does not curse. You don't hear.
No, he'll never curse on stage, but like he'll say effing this or like this, and I'll turn around and go, "Oh my God, holy shit!"
They said that about Carson too. That Carson, like on stage, was always the cleanest guy, but off stage they said he had a potty mouth.
Oh yeah,
yeah, that's what they used to say. Yeah. But now Seinfeld, I bumped into Seinfeld. I was working. I don't know if you were with us that night. Stand Up New York.
We were together. It was for what's his face at the TikTok.
The TikTok Foundation.
Carton from Boomer.
Carton and Boomer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the night they told Jeff Norris, "Hey, you're following Seinfeld."
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I went up, I did my set. And then I think, I don't know, Michael Che went up and it was killing. Oh, and then Seinfeld comes popping in.
Killer.
And he had a killer set. And Seinfeld comes walking in and said, "We're going to throw him up now." Norris was going on right after him. And Norris is like, "Are you serious?" He's like, "Yeah, you're going on after him." He's like, no. And he pulled it off. He did really well. And Seinfeld was a real nice guy to get along. Everyone was cool.
Norris was sweating in places that you never thought you could sweat.
Behind the ear.
But he killed Norris.
He did kill, yeah.
Oh, Michael Che was really funny.
He's a funny guy.
I have to tell you, many years ago at Caroline's, I was working with Colin, and I was hosting. And it was a Friday, Saturday. And that Saturday during the day, Colin called me up. He goes, "Jerry's coming down tonight." So I said, "Really?" Now, this is at the height of Seinfeld. Wow. I'm talking about, this is like season 5, probably.
Terrible.
He could not be bigger. And he wasn't doing, like it wasn't, people didn't see him. So I said, okay, so we're at Caroline's, and, the show's packed. Nobody knows he's there. He's backstage. I introduce him, and everybody was in such shock that they saw him, that he actually had to go on stage, and it took him a couple of minutes to quiet everybody. He goes, "Okay, all right, it is me. I'm here. I'd like to do a set. Please calm down." And he actually had to talk the audience down, because people were it was like they saw a mirage.
Yeah.
Because his show was so big. Yeah.
But John, think how it feels. How does it feel to be, the beautiful thing about comics that make it and do really so well in showbiz is that when you walk on stage, you're already bought and sold and done. It's not as if you have to go out there and gain this momentum and build the audience into who you want them to be, or that relationship. It's done. They already like you before you get up, and everything becomes much easier.
Have you ever worked with Artie Lang?
Yes. And in fact, I worked with Artie and at the same night with Colin at a theater in the city once, and Jay Moore was on that show too. Really, and I felt little.
No, it's not even that. So I worked with Artie, and Artie gets up and he'll do 5 minutes of comedy, and for the rest of his act, the whole audience will yell out, "We love you, Artie!"
Yeah.
And I've never seen anything like it. I mean, I'm talking about they will repeat it all night long. Yeah. "Artie, we love you." I mean, that's the kind of love that this guy gets when he's on stage.
Yeah, I love him.
I've never seen it before. It is totally amazing. And he has a relationship with the people that come to see him that is just undeniably beautiful.
That's another conversation that me and Peasy have a lot of, like being on a hit radio show and being a comedian, now going out and getting those gigs while you're on that show.
Well, yeah, I mean, I had that opportunity. And let me tell you something. I also got off the radio show and was left for dead by many, many people that kissed my ass for years.
See, that's the interesting part there. And also when you come off, that's another thing people don't realize either. Financially, everything is going so well at a certain, you start to hit a certain peak, and then you start to level and then come down. And as you come down and your finances going up and down along with your career, people don't realize how difficult it is to say no to maybe a really good money gig because you can't accept it because it would make you look bad. I mean, you get the duality.
Yeah, it's very interesting dynamic, John. And I got to tell you, when I left the radio, I was offered a contract and I said, that's enough. Literally, after 16 years, I sat on the couch for 6 months. I didn't do anything.
Wow.
So my wife said,
Mike, that happened to you, didn't you?
He does it now, right?
I'm only kidding, Mike.
So my wife says, well, what are you going to do? So I said, I think I want to act. So she goes, okay, well, why don't you try acting? And so I fell into.
Why don't you act like you got a job and go out and work?
Why don't you act like you're helping with the rent? So, I fell into this trap, John, Mikey, where people tell you all your career, if you could do stand-up, you could do anything, right? So I said, well, why can't I act? I mean, there's so many stand-ups have their own sitcom. So I try acting for 6 months, and then I tell my wife, I said, all right, I need to talk to you. So she goes, what? I said, I got to tell you, I've been at this acting thing for 6 months, and I suck. So she goes, what do you mean you suck? I said, I was so bad in acting that it took me 6 months to find out how bad I was. So I said, that's how bad I was. So she goes, well, what are you going to do about it? I said, well, I'm going to go for lessons, and I'm going to take classes, and I'm going to become a better actor. And
that's what you did.
I was horrible, and now
was it that you found it that difficult, John? You found it that?
It's weird. Comedy and especially the radio became very, very. I was very blessed, and it was more or less given to me.
It was intuitive to you as well.
Yeah, acting has something that I fought for every inch.
Acting is everything but acting. Acting is being normal. I think that's the best actor is an actor that just acts like he's not acting, like he is what he is.
Yeah, but you're playing characters. It's a different skill set. Your characters.
I
struggled with it mightily, and it was very humbling. I love the profession. I've fought for every inch that I've gained so far. And it's been going pretty good now. The auditions have been getting bigger, and I really enjoy it. But if somebody asked me what I was or what I think I am, my first words out of my mouth is I'm a comedian.
Do you wish you would have started earlier acting?
No, everything happens for a reason. I don't think I would have been any good when I was younger. This is the right age for me to do something like this.
Did you have opportunities when you were at the height of the radio and the height of the comedy?
Oh yeah, I did cameos. I played myself. I played Goumba Johnny on soap operas and stuff like that. I mean, that was nothing. I thought I was acting. I was doing crap.
Right, but at that point, you probably could have even gotten deeper than that. You had a better chance in.
Yeah, I had very little desire for it. I mean, I was with Don Buchwald. I had great representation. I was with Don Buchwald for 16 years. Yeah, I was with Don for 16 years.
Wow.
And I could have,
that's big.
I could have probably gone into acting a little bit more than I did, but I was so busy with the radio and stand-up and nightclubs and charity work and whatnot. And then you try and negotiate a social life, and you know.
Yeah, what happened now? He Peasy. Now he decided. Now he's gonna get into acting more. He loves it. He's 60 years old. He's not gonna get younger. And now we got HD, 4K. Everything now.
Yeah, but it's all okay too, though, because if you think about it, when it comes to acting, there's a role for each aging person along within it. I mean, you see
every fucking thing on you now. I'm looking at him. I want a Goumba Johnny neck.
No, well, you know what? Somebody's got to play the father. Somebody's got to play a father. You know, I'll tell you a funny story.
Sausage, you could play the grandma right now.
I'll tell you a funny story, Mikey. You want to talk about age? You know, at this particular age, you know, I'll go out on auditions, and many times it's either for commercials or print ads. And the big thing for somebody my age with my look is I go out for these pharmaceutical ads. So the other day I went out for a ad for type 2 diabetes, and I was the first one to go in. It was 9 o'clock in the morning. I got there a little early, and the casting woman was there. She goes, "Johnny, do you have a headshot?" I said, "Actually, I do. I normally don't bring one, but I have one with me." So she looks at it, and she looks at me. She looks at the headshot, and she goes, "God, you're perfect for this." And I went back and I told my wife, I said, "How bad do I look? This woman look. This is type 2.
But wait a minute. If you would have hit the erectile dysfunction or a diaper, you'd be much better. You'd be more upset.
John, I was telling Colin, I'm trying to write a bit out of it. This is my auditions: type 2 diabetes, shingles, plaque psoriasis, okay, Cialis, Viagra, okay, and then the other day I went for a pilot for an airline commercial. I'm like, Colin goes, "You're working your way into coffins." I said, "I don't know what to say." I said, "Do I look like I have all these diseases?"
You don't look that old to me, though. You don't look 60. You look like 40-year-old guy, maybe 35. You're in good shape. I'm 72. How old are you, Mikey?
They did it. I'm 50. They did that on a Seinfeld episode when they were bringing the doctors around, and Kramer they had to act the disease that they had.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's really. I mean, when that woman looked at my headshot and she goes, "You're perfect for this," I ran home and I said to my wife, "Do I look like I have type 2 diabetes?"
Now you know you're old too, no doubt. Tell me the truth, though. You go in to do these auditions. I've been to some auditions. You walk in there, and everybody in the office that's asking you for your headshot is like 19 years old and a wannabe actor, and they look at you like you're an old fuck. You know, I mean, you walk in, you give you stuff, you're like, that's a kid sitting at that desk over there making these decisions.
I went one recently, and a guy who I was auditioning with in front of everybody goes, "Hey, didn't you used to be Goumba Johnny?" I was like, "Yeah, that's the rumor."
Hey, John, let me ask you this. Wait, now, where are you going from here? And when it comes to comedy, two questions. First of all, I guess that's the second. The first one is where do you derive the comedy from?
Working his way up to HIV.
Working his way up. Like, do you consider yourself an Italian-American comedian? Because there's a lot of comedians now that Italian-American humor is very popular. And you know all the comics I'm talking about, especially Maniscalco. He's come out of nowhere like, boom, boom. He just blew up and across the country immediately.
Johnny's become a pimp comedian. It's Goomba's girls now.
Yeah, well, I've done some shows like that. But, you know, I have to say one thing about Sebastian. He's done more for Italian comedy than anybody's done since Pat Cooper. Wow. He is the first Italian-American superstar comedian in a very long time. There hasn't been one, and he broke through. He packs venues all around the world. Yes. He brings in numbers that Italian comedians have never brought in before. True. And he's done so much for every Italian-American comedian behind him. And I'm so proud and happy for him. And I think his success is fantastic. And it trickles down for everybody.
Agreed.
God bless him. I really mean that.
So outside of our region here, it's popular. Sebastian.
Dude, he's great. And he's getting recognized for it. And let me tell you something. You know, Italian humor is really just coming to light. You had the wave of the gay humor, the black humor, the Hispanic humor, this humor, that humor. You've never had Italian humor. You know what I mean? And now it's because of him. He's really putting it. It's up on the forefront now. You know what I mean? It's a category.
Johnny's giving him like the label.
In other words, he's legitimized it. But I don't consider myself Italian. I mean, I consider myself Italian comedian, obviously, but I do a lot of different humor. I mean, I do a lot of humor about relationships. I do political humor. I poke a lot of fun at the media and stuff like that.
I used to do a lot of Italian American humor too. And I remember seeing Ray back on Dangerfields, and he was doing the plastic couches and going to church and watching the old lady.
Who'd you say though, Mike? I didn't hear you.
Ray Romano.
Oh, Ray Romano, yeah.
He had done a lot of Italian American humor. But
now he did a lot of relationship, like family and his wife and kids stuff too.
Sebastian has broke the ceiling. He's the Rosa Parks of the Italian American.
Well, no, Pat Cooper is.
Oh yeah. He was great.
You know, Pat Cooper is the guy who, you know, I mean, let's just put it this way. His real name is Pasquale Caputo.
Yes.
To show you how badly Italian comedians were treated, he had to change his name.
Yes.
Yeah.
To Pat Cooper.
We just saw him. He had a birthday party. He's at 87th birthday party.
Yeah. So he is literally, you know, the godfather of Italian comedy.
And he's a great guy. As a person, he's a great guy.
Really,
he lives a couple of blocks away from me.
Oh, he's a funny son of a bitch.
Yeah, I've worked with him. He's, you know, he's. I mean, he'll come backstage. I was working him in a theater in New Jersey, and he comes in. And he goes, "You are a fucking moron." So I said, "Excuse me, Pat." He goes, "Can you do 20 minutes?" I said, "Yeah, well, I think so." He goes, "Just get up there and do 20 minutes, you moron." So I said, "Oh, why?" He goes, "Hey," and then he turns around. He goes, "How you doing? You feeling okay?"
He's very funny.
Yeah, now, if you're a young comic, that would be like, hi. You'd be like, oh,
like it was so great. And it was just so great to be with him. And I performed with him several times, and I considered it quite an honor, especially growing up in the Bronx. We had his albums in our house. My father was a fan of his. My father never went out, but my father would go to see a Pat Cooper show.
Wow, just think comedy albums, right? Jesus, kids don't even know nothing about that.
Well, now, what about now, John? You have a lot of people you told us about that you really enjoy and like, but is there anything in comedy that you don't like? I mean, I hate to be negative, but what is it that irks you as a comedian, or what type of humor don't you like?
Oh, well, no, I don't. What I don't like is the PC culture.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, when you muzzle comedians, that says something about society itself. Comedians have to get on stage and they have to be able to say whatever they want and speak through humor, through humor, and make, promote social consciousness.
Are you saying that because I'm black? Is that what
yes, exactly.
So you feel there should be protection?
There should be no handcuffs on comedians as far as speech is concerned, but there is now. Now, I find myself and I watch other comedians explain jokes before they do them.
You can't explain jokes.
Well, no, in other words, like I'll do some political stuff, and before I do it, I say I'll make one thing clear: I'm a registered independent. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not.
You say that?
That's
oh my goodness!
Crazy that you got to do that.
Well, no, you don't have to do it, but one time in the city recently, I just mentioned. I didn't even do the joke. I mentioned something about Trump. Let's say I said Donald Trump's in the news today. And some woman in the back yelled out, "He's gonna kill us all! He's gonna kill us all!" And I'm like, "Okay, miss, thank you very much for ruining that bit." You know what I mean? I mean, it's like, and she was full of passion, and you're like, people so crazy politically right now.
Yes, Peasy was doing the Hillary puppet.
Yes.
That woman was flinging lemons at him on stage.
Tons of them. I was going bing, bing, bing.
Yeah, she's mad at him. Now, the funny thing is, he can bring Trump up and make fun. And if you like him or you don't like him, people kind of...
Yeah, it kind of goes over.
Yeah, when he brings that Hillary up, boy,
he starts a war.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Maybe I need to do what John is doing before I introduce anything. I have to come out and say, I want to let everyone know. I just want, ahead of time. I hate Muslims, blacks, Jews, and Puerto Rico.
And he doesn't do anything bad. All he does is make a coffin fall down, and everybody gets mad. I don't know. Well,
I just wish, that there would be a rule, hands off comedians. I mean, I even seen Chappelle's, Chappelle's newest special.
Yeah.
And it's like, you could see like he almost, his special was fantastic.
Yeah.
But, I mean,
he's so
there should be no handcuffs on a guy like Chappelle.
Chappelle's show is sold out because you could tell right away. You put old Chappelle and new Chappelle, he's like totally like painted over. It's crazy.
John, who are your favorite comics? Who is it that you look up to and think, oh, I love these guys or that? Which comics do you love to hear and listen to?
I'll tell you a funny story. Obviously, I'm close with Colin Quinn, and every comedian is a fan of Colin's because he just does it right. He's a comedian's comedian. But I love Bill Burr. I think Bill Burr is so funny.
He's very, very funny guy.
Oh my God. I'm a huge Bill Burr fan. And there's a comedian called Ryan Hamilton.
Hamilton. I seen him.
Ryan Hamilton, who is so funny. He's under the radar. And there's some good young comedians. Chris Stefano is fantastic. He's from Staten Island. Andrew Schultz is good. There's a guy who I worked with at Stand Up New York, an African-American guy, John Laster.
What about women? Any good women comedians out there?
Oh God, I love Tammy Piscatelli. She's, probably one of the better, if not the best.
Ones, yeah, the girls get looked over a lot. That's why I said when I was pretty happy when I saw he was advertising Goumba girls, I think up in Yonkers.
I worked with some young girls. Michelle Wolf is another girl who I work with in the city. She's very talented.
Yeah. Because I was following some girl on Twitter, Tara Canastracci.
Yes, she's
you got arrested.
Girl, she's an actress too.
Oh, is she? Yeah, I seen that, and a lot of people seem to enjoy her.
Yeah, she's popular. And there's another young Italian girl, Regina DeCicco, who's actually related to the DeCicco supermarket chain.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's like her family, and she is very, very funny. I work with her quite often.
She's single?
She's married.
All right.
Yeah, you look like you need somebody that owns a supermarket.
Fuck this up, John.
No, he's not trying to get to the girl. He wants to get into the supermarket.
No, I just want a girl.
He's just hoping, wow, I could go to.
He wants to get an aisle 9.
Actually, you'd be all alone in there with a spill in aisle 9.
That's his fantasy, to be locked in a supermarket overnight.
Me too. I love to eat. I have this big problem. I love to eat. It's too much. I've been really trying to pump it out.
Yeah, we talk about eating all the time.
Mike, let me ask you a question, Mike. What's your favorite Italian restaurant?
Wait a minute. We don't have that much time.
Yeah, we have a lot of time. I'm going to tell you something. There is a place in Queens. A guy by the name of Rocco owns it. You know what I'm talking about, John?
On Ditmars?
Yep.
Yeah, I've been there.
Ditmars on 20th. It's it's Italian. I'm telling you, I can't think of it right now.
Begins with a C. I've been there. It's past the last stop.
It's got like 100 like specials every time he's on there, and
the food's excellent.
Oh my God, it's unreal food. And I love Rayo's, when Rayo's, and I don't know. I have so many different ones that I love. So
yeah, me too.
I don't. If you ask me one spot, I think I'm gonna come back to the name. That place on Ditmars and 20th. The food he makes this osso buco with homemade gnocchi.
I go there with my uncles. I know what you're talking about. The place is fantastic.
It's crazy good, Peasy. Unbelievable.
I haven't been there.
Yeah.
I go to a place on Union Turnpike called Luigi's.
I know what else I like. Where do you live, Johnny? You live here?
I'm in the city.
In the city?
Yeah.
Yeah. Out in Long Island, they have this barbecue place, Brazilian barbecue. I don't know. You know when they keep bringing the food until you tell them don't bring it no more? There's a place out there that's unbelievable too. Like, you know,
Death by Brazilian.
Oh man, but that Peasy's no good for me because he's always like,
trying to.
Yeah, he's like, oh, I just came from a gig. I'm driving through Staten Island. I got corned beef. You want me to drop by and give you a sandwich?
Yeah.
I'm trying to get rid of it. I don't want to eat it all.
You gotta go to Katz's for that.
Oh yeah, I love Katz's. That's what I'm saying. Katz's.
You know, Johnny, I've been working Orthodox gigs lately, and so I get to these gigs, and I never realized how good some of this Jewish food is. They make the best ribs I've ever eaten in my life, like pastrami's, and they make these beef ribs that they barbecue and stuff, and it's like unbelievably so good. I never realized how good.
Yeah, you know, it's so weird because Jewish food is like under the radar, like a little bit, you know.
Yeah,
because,
not anymore though. It's grown into the cultural market is huge.
Yeah, because I used to do like a bit about that because you say, you know, people say, hey, what do you feel like having tonight? I feel like having. Let's do Chinese. Let's do Italian. You never hear anybody say, let's do Jew. You know.
Unless she owns a supermarket.
But they got a lot of Jewish like steakhouses now, right, Peasy?
Oh yeah,
kosher steakhouses. Yeah,
unbelievable, huge right now, huge. Hey John, so where do you derive your comedy from, though, as a comedian? Then where do you find how do you put together the material and the jokes?
Well, you know, I it's pretty much like I do a bit in my act, and I tell people, I said, you know, it really. People often ask me how I write, and I said, you know, all you have to do is just take notes of what happens every day. These jokes write themselves. I said, for instance, I pulled into a gas station in Queens today, and I asked the guy, I said, can you fill it up? And he said, I can't, I don't have any gas. So I said, what do you mean you don't have any gas? He goes, I have no gas. I said, well, why didn't you put a sign out? He goes, oh, I didn't want to lose the business. So I said, like, what are you buying, weed here? You know, and I said, these jokes kind of like I took my wife to Aruba. I had a gig in Aruba, and she's going, I'm on my vacation. I want to do something. We're on the beach. So I said, all right, let's go over to the shack. So I talked to the guy. He goes, I said, I got to do something with my wife. And she goes, what do you want to do? I said, I want to take a waterboarding. So he goes, you mean paddleboarding? And I said, no, I mean waterboarding. She's a pain in the ass.
You know, that's so funny when you said the shack. I was thinking in my mind, I think I was at the same resort that you were because I remember eating at the shack.
Yeah, they have the activity shacks. Well, if you just, you know, like as the day would go on, if my wife says something to me or I have an interaction with somebody at a diner or this and that, I make a mental note of it. I go home and I think about it. I really, me personally, to sit down and write a whole premise and work it out like that. I mean, that happens sometimes, but most of my jokes will start off small and then it will work up into a very, very big bit.
I think of all comedy in the joke format, the simplest of format.
You have to.
Well, yeah, I sometimes wish I didn't. I wish I could write other different ways. I don't have that skill as well, but I see everything as joke.
Well,
like
you have to because you're working with the puppet.
In a short space, yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like everything you do with the puppet is like 1, 2, 3, kick.
Yeah,
1,
basically.
2, 3, kick.
I was at a gig on Friday. Listen to this. You're going to love this. You're a comic. You'll love this. I'm at a gig Friday, and the agent's sitting there with me, and I'm watching. It's a small crowd. It's in Long Island at a restaurant, Italian thing or whatever. And I said, hey, I just came up with this kind of funny joke today. I want to try this. And she says, what is it? She goes, what is it? I said, I remember the first time my first girlfriend, we would have sex. I said to her, hey, let's play a game tonight where it's taste the condom. Tell me the flavor of my condom night. She goes, let's do it. I said, okay. She goes, cheese and onions. And I go, I didn't put it on yet. And she goes, don't you dare do that in front of this crowd. Don't you dare do that. And I'm like, I can't wait to do that joke.
Cheese and onions.
It's Trattoria La Incontro.
Yes.
20th and Ditmars.
Yes.
You will never have a better meal. And then
I've eaten there several times.
Oh, John, it's insane.
Yeah, I'm glad. I don't want to even hear it. I'm erasing that from my head now.
And then
John, you got to go. It's really good.
I say, PZ gets these gigs in Florida sometimes. And I say, I want to come. He goes, you want to come see the show? I said, no. I want to go see my friend Stevie down there in Cafe Moderano. Have you eaten Cafe Moderano down there in Florida, John?
No, but I did an appearance with The Sopranos, and Stevie Marrano came up and cooked. Oh. That was part of the thing. The whole cast was there.
Yeah. How good was it?
and he came up and cooked, so I got to eat his food, and it was quite spectacular.
Wait a minute. Me and you want to eat like all the time, and it's hard to lose weight. Now, John, you're saying you're thin, you're working out. How are you at 60 years old able to keep yourself in such clean shape? What are you doing? Are you eating well?
Throws up.
I go to the gym 4 to 5 times a week. I start off, with a
Cardio?
2.5 mile run, and then I do about 45 minutes a week.
How's your genetics? Can you get really heavy, John?
I could, no, I'm naturally thin. It was impossible for me to gain weight.
I hate those guys.
I'm not naturally skinny.
No, not skinny. You're just one of those guys that you could probably get a little bit, but you will never get like me, or like you can't get that.
Well, I mean, with all due respect, I mean, how many people are your size? I don't even think I'd do this interview in person. You're so intimidating. This is from the safety of my home.
No, but Stevie's got the greatest food.
Yeah.
And he's got a place in Vegas.
And he's a great guy.
Oh, he's a wonderful, great guy.
Yeah, he's a regular guy.
Humble guy. And he started from nothing. And this Peasy, you never had anything better.
I don't want to even know about it. I want to know about the fresh diet delivered to my house. I don't want to do any of it.
Like if we went down there, like if we went, me, you and John, we hang out, we go down there, and I would say, don't even open the menu. And you say, why? Because the guy just keeps sending food to me and try this and try that. And he makes stuff that's off the menu. And then, it's crazy good food. Me and Peasy talk about food all the time.
Yeah, we like to eat. This eating thing is not good. It's not hell. It's not.
He drinks these green drinks and this other shit and everything. Like I say it all the time. It's like he's drinking a green thing, and I'm going, and he's eating chicken wings. I'm like, what the fuck?
And there's nothing like matcha and chicken wings. It's a perfect combination of the bad and the good.
2 Poppers and a Diet Coke.
That's so funny.
I eat a lot of wings. I love fried chicken wings. It's like one of my week.
You guys really enjoy doing this show, don't you?
Yeah, we have fun.
We have a good time.
It's nice. You could see that, and that's what makes the show successful. When you guys, when you guys, you always have to remember, and I hate to preach to you guys.
That's all right.
No, I'm only saying this, as someone who is a broadcaster, people are so perceptive. And if you're having a good time and you're real, they'll enjoy you and they'll tune you in, and your fan base will go up and up. And you guys have that. Well,
now we're hoping that we get the fan base because you're here tonight, so we'll have tons of.
I don't know about that.
And we try to have people on that we know that will enjoy it. And it was a very to have you with us tonight was very exciting for me because I grew up with you, even though you're 10 years older than me. 10 years, when I'm 15 and you're 25 is different now, than you're 60 and I'm 50.
Well, you guys did me a big favor tonight because I don't have to.
What?
I don't have to watch The Real Housewives of Atlanta with my wife because of you guys, and you don't know what a big deal that is.
It could be worse. It could be The Bachelor. Oh my goodness!
You're not going to watch that,
Yeah, but
no, where are you going from here though? What's the future for Goumba Johnny? What's the plans? What's coming up?
I want to do more acting. I actually just had a meeting recently that somebody asked me if I was interested to get it back into radio. And my answer was, if it's right, I'll do it. I never thought I'd say that. I've been out for 5 years. My wish list is I'd love to do something in sports. I love sports. I have a great knowledge of sports. I was an athlete myself. And
you mean like a sports show?
I'd like to do color commentary for football or something like that.
You think you could do it?
Oh, I know I could do it. It probably would be.
Hard work. That's hard work, John.
Probably be the best fit for me. I mean, for my skill set.
Really?
Yeah, I'd like to do acting.
What about sitcom, John?
Yeah, I mean that would be like a grand slam for me. Yeah. But I enjoy what I'm doing now. I do a lot of different gigs. And now that the summer's coming. People will hire me for private parties. John knows.
Yep, he's funny. Mikey, I don't know if you've seen him work as a stand-up. The guy, he's very funny, and you can see he's humble, and he's got a nice ability about himself. He's able to relate to any kind of an audience. I mean, you put him in for he just did a gig recently for 500 guys that are like animals eating beefsteak.
You told me.
And he's slaying. And
John, I got to tell you, yourself. I mean, I get gigs in New Jersey where I get invited to a barbecue, And I did this one gig last year where I was actually standing on a diving board in the pool, and kids were jumping in the pool.
I've been there.
DJ there, and they give me the microphone, and
you do it.
You know, the guy, some guy yells out. He goes, it's Anne Marie's birthday. It's Anne Marie's birthday. I said, look, it's Anne Marie. Your birthday falls on the end of my career.
Wait, so Peasy, he did the gig, the place you were telling me, like they were real, like crazy ass, animalistic, like not you were telling me about it.
Yeah, but they're not animalistic.
I don't mean in a bad way. I mean like just a loud rock.
It's a rough crowd.
Cigars and eating, you know.
Blue collar guys drinking beer and eating steak. That's all it is.
Johnny fit right in there.
Yeah, well, he did. But the point I'm making is that he goes and does that with 500 guys and slays it.
Yeah.
And then you send it to a party. I've been at the Friars Club where they did roast at the Friars, and I've been in New York City at these hotels. And John went up amongst some of the top comics in the world, really, and went up and did great. I mean. And he's got everyone in, you know, black tie and tuxedo, and he still slayed him. So he has the diversity of humor to be able to go from one extreme to another, which says to me that Goumba is not a comedian. No. He's an entertainer.
That's right. I know.
He has a wide brush of talent.
I was fortunate enough to win that roasting contest at the Friars Club a couple of years ago. And
yeah, I saw that with Vincent Pastore.
Yeah, and I it's weird because I sometimes I get asked to do roast, and you know, they pay really good money.
Do you not like it? Do you like a roast, or?
I'm not. It's weird because I'm pretty good at it, and I don't like it.
You don't like that to deprecate that. You don't like.
No, they're very mean. I mean, I had a guy hire me from Wall Street, and I had to write for him and 20 of his guests. And I hosted the whole thing, and he actually rented out the Friars Club. And it was a big production. I worked a week on it. You know, well worth it.
Now, you wrote for him, or you act for him? Well,
I had to write something. I had to introduce 20 friends that would get up and speak, and then I had to write a monologue about him before I introduced him, and so on and so forth. And 20 people I don't know.
Wow.
I've done this too. I've done many. In fact, I do these dozen times a year, and wow. It's really a lot of work. You have to create material that's customized.
You see what it is, Peas, and you know then
it gets mean.
Yeah. Oh, but that's another thing. You know, people don't realize this either when it comes to writing material like that. I went and did the roast for the Big Tuna, and I don't know anything about sports, John.
Right.
Mikey knows this too. I know nothing. I know dick jokes, comedy, magic, and ventriloquism, and the news. That's it. And when I did the Big Tuna roast, I went and I asked a few friends of mine that were writing comedy to help me out with it because I didn't even know anything about sports. So, and I went in and did the roast for the guy, and everyone went up and told really nice stories about the Big Tuna. I went up there and started ripping the shit out of him, and people came over to me this big black guy, football player, comes over and says, "Listen, dude, you got to calm it down." He goes, you're hurting them. I said, it's a roast. Like, yeah, but we just want to be fun. And I'm like, well, it's supposed to be, you know, banging up. Yeah. So it's interesting how people's perception of what a roast is.
Well, after I won that contest, I got hired, you know, my name got around, and this group of guys hired me for Atlantic City. And, you know, they're in a private room in Atlantic City, and, you know, there's no microphone. So it's not like a real roast. There's no podium or nothing, you know, like they see on TV.
Wow, you're like naked.
They're all drunk. And there's 12 guys with 6 strippers in the room.
Oh.
And they're like, okay, go ahead. Goumba Johnny, go.
Let Johnny go.
You know,
like you're in the trenches. But that's the stuff that makes the comic great. All of that rough, difficult comedy. And
John, I have a story. I have a story for you. You know who Eddie DeBartolo is?
Yeah, the San Francisco 49er guy. He owns all the malls across America.
Right. I got a call years ago. They said, Johnny, I'm calling on behalf of Eddie DeBartolo. We need an Italian-American comedian. We'd like you to come down to Tampa. this next weekend.
You must have shit right there.
I said, I'm sorry, I'm booked. They said, what do you mean you booked? I said, well, I'm scheduled to appear at a nightclub in New Jersey. Well, it said, how much money are you getting? I said, well, it depends on how many people come. I said, but I could make up until this amount of dollars. They said, we're going to call you back in 10 minutes. They hang up the phone. He goes, Mrs. DeBartolo will give you the money that you're supposed to make plus an additional X amount of dollars. And we're going to fly you down and we'll take care of you. We want you to perform. This is a special thing. There will be 60 people at this thing. There are Mr. DeBartolo's family and closest business associates. So I get taken to this restaurant in Tampa, and he's in his private room. And all these people from around the world came, all his top vendors, people from Pepsi, and, you know, he owns all these malls and his family's there. And they hand out all these awards, you know, and it was a really weird thing. I'm sitting in the back with other people, and in the next room, Hulk Hogan is having his daughter's 16th birthday party. And Hulk Hogan, you see him walking back and forth. And you don't miss Hulk Hogan. I'm like going, what the fuck is going on? What is Hulk Hogan doing here?
His wife doesn't miss him either.
Yeah, well, they were married at the time. So I'm saying, wow, this is a circus. So the last thing they do is they give out a friendship award. And it is the most prestigious award in the DeBartolo thing. It's for somebody who has been working with the company and has gone above and beyond their relationship. They give it to the guy, and the guy gets the award, and he starts crying. I don't know how to thank you, Mr. DeBartolo. I can't tell you how good you've been for me and how much I respect the company, you and your family, and this and that. And, you know, people are like wiping their eyes, and they start clapping. And the guy gets his friendship award, sits down. And then a guy gets up and he goes, yeah, we got a comedian from New York. Goumba Johnny, you want to come up here? And I'm like, holy shit. You want me to do comedy now? And I'm so scared. And halfway up to the podium, John, I got mad. I got angry. I grabbed the microphone. I said, DeBartolo, how dare you give out the friendship award? Everybody's crying. Now you want me to do comedy. Why don't you just show the passions of Christ up here and then invite me up here? I said, what kind of bullshit is this? And he started falling down. Thank God he was laughing hysterical.
But that's that moment, right, John? That's the moment where it's either going to go for you or against you all in 1 second.
John, I was terrified.
I know that feeling.
You know, people are crying, and then they give you the worst introduction. Yeah, we got a comedian from New York. Goumba, come on up here. And I'm like,
Johnny, you're up.
oh my God, you know what I mean? And people are like, oh, there's a comedian here?
People never realize, people don't realize what comics have to go through. It's amazing. To see stories like that is what makes my life. It's like, that's what life is all about, comedy.
Yeah.
Johnny, do you have anything coming up in the near future now?
Oh, yeah. I got something really good coming up. I'll be working with Vincent Pastore, Big Pussy, on June 3rd at Ha in Yonkers, the Ha Comedy Club in Ridge Hill Shopping Center.
Where people got to find you on Facebook? What are your website?
Yeah, everything's on my Facebook page, Goumba Johnny at Facebook. It's Goumba Johnny, JOHNNY at Facebook.com.
Yeah, it should be on his lower third there. And if anybody has a chance, make sure you book this guy. Not only is he funny, he happens to be a really nice guy. And, you know.
I work with John. And John, I thank you I really appreciate it. No, I do.
Thanks for coming on, John. I wish we had more time to talk, and if, you know, we never get to hang out. It's funny. We're always passing each other by, but we love working together. We worked together several months ago.
Yeah.
You at a gig, and we had a good.
You're a good guy, Mr.
Good guy.
And I hope everything good happens for you and your family.
Sausage.
Wealth.
Mikey Sausage.
You got him, my friend. You ever need a 6'3" guy to help you out? You got him.
Mike, I don't even think you could fit in my SUV. I mean,
doesn't matter.
You are large and in charge.
That's okay. We're going to go out one night. We're going to go to dinner on Ditmars.
Your food recommendations, you are extremely valid.
Just ask a fat guy. They'll tell you where to eat. It's very easy. All right, John.
I hope to see you guys soon, man. Good luck with your show. I think it's
all right.
I think you guys are a great company.
Thanks for coming on, John. It was our pleasure.
I'll come see your show one night.
All right. Thank you.
All right, buddy.
Good night,
Take
guys.
care, John. Thank you.
Night. Thank you.
That was fun. That was great.
Yeah. Mr. Goumba, nice guy.
He's a great guy. Humble.
Very
funny
happy, Peasy. You know, when guys like that turn out to be as nice as that, I mean, it just think about a guy who feels bad to roast somebody as a comedian. That's something I never even like fathomed that. Because like I said, like you judge somebody, you know what I mean? He's like,
yeah, but he's had such a great career, and he's such a humble guy, and he's a really nice guy, and he's a funny guy. I mean, he's got it all going on, you know. He's a good guy, and I'm happy that he actually came on, and if you ever get to go see a show, it's great.
Yeah, I think everybody should go see him. I think supporting people like that is what is a good thing.
He's been around a long time, and he's still doing it well.
Yeah, he looks good. He looks good. I need what he did there. What the hell is he doing there?
Besides, it's called eating healthy and working out.
I gotta get. Why can't Hix make me look better?
Yeah, Hix, that's your deal.
Hix, you gotta start getting some software, Photoshop-on-the-fly.com, and you know, I don't.
Can I show you what I can do? You want to see what I can do to my chin?
No, I don't want to see.
You sure you don't want to see what I
No,
got?
I'm gonna stop with this camera crap.
I got this.
I don't know what are you doing. I'm putting things over here. I think it's about time we gotta go. Oh, no. Okay. All right. We've just jumped the shark.
All right. Well, thank you, guys.
I guess I'll talk to you next week. You don't call me no more. You don't love me.
It's so busy. It's all good, but I'm working on another guest, and I have a couple of good guys. We're going to bring in some great guests. I'm looking forward to it. Next week is Memorial Day, and Sunday, we usually do the shows on Sunday, but I'm not going to be around on next Sunday, so we may move it to Monday or Tuesday. So
maybe we'll take the week off. Maybe we'll relax a little bit.
Whatever. It sounds good. And thank you, Mr. Hix.
Thank you, Hix. Always behind the scene. Why is he going like this to me? Good night. Okay.
The German stuff.
All right. Till next time.
Thank you, guys.
Sausage
Ciao.
and the PZ. Peace.